Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Emily Hiles, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Captain Robert Curtis. We warmly welcome the family of Sergeant Vernon Gordon King, who are watching the live stream of this evening's ceremony. His story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Sergeant Vernon Gordon King. Vernon King was born in 1897 in the Melbourne suburb of Kew, one of 4 children born to Baron and Annie King. King came from a prestigious family, being the great-great-grandson of the 3rd Governor of New South Wales, Philip Gidley King, and received his education at Trinity Grammar School, which was just around the corner from his family home on Denmark Street. On completion of his schooling, he took up employment as a clerk with Melbourne Shipping Company, Mrs. John Sanderson and Company. Vernon King enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 8th of March 1915, following in the footsteps of his brother Dorian, who had enlisted a year earlier. Allocated to the 24th Battalion, he commenced a short period of training in Australia. On the 10th of May 1915, he embarked for active service from Melbourne on board the trip ship Euripides. Private King joined his unit on the Gallipoli Peninsula in mid-September. Earlier attempts to advance their position during battles throughout August had cost the Allies thousands of casualties for very little gain. King's first months of war were spent holding and defending their lines against the Allies until the Allies evacuated in December 1915. King returned to Egypt with his unit in early January 1916. In February, he was briefly transferred to the 2nd Field Artillery Brigade before joining the 12th Field Artillery Brigade with the rank of corporal. He arrived on the Western Front in June 1916 and was transferred to the 24th Field Artillery Brigade. Shortly after, he was again promoted, taking on the rank of sergeant. He took part in his first major battle around the French village of Fromelles, providing artillery support for the attacking units as the Australians took over 5,000 casualties in 24 hours. This was King's introduction to war on the Western Front. Following the carnage at Fromelles, in August he was sent north to Belgium, where his unit spent time in the front lines around the city of Ypres. It returned to France in December 1916, when King became ill and was sent to hospital in England to recover. He returned to the Western Front in February 1917, joining the Divisional Artillery Headquarters and taking on a temporary administrative role. In March, King again found himself in hospital, remaining until May. On his recovery, he joined the 11th Field Artillery Brigade, but within a month, he again required medical attention. He was sent to hospital at Abbeville, suffering from an inflammatory condition which affected his legs. He rejoined his unit in Belgium at the end of July 1917, where preparations for a major attack on the Ypres salient were underway. From September 1917, King's unit supported Allied attacks on the German positions in the Ypres sector. It was responsible for providing artillery barrages that covered advancing troops at battles including Menin Road and Polygon Wood. In October, as fighting continued, his unit provided the artillery support at the Battle of Brutsenda. On the 21st of October, King's unit was under heavy shell fire from enemy batteries along the Brutsenda Ridge. Sergeant King was with his comrades near Hellfire Corner when an enemy shell hit their position, wounding King and several others. King sustained shrapnel wounds to his right leg, right arm and abdomen, and was taken to the 10th Casualty Clearing Station for treatment. His wounds proved too severe and he died the following day. His bereaved family later posted a memorial notice to their son and brother in the local newspaper, which read, "His bright spirit still tenants the hearts of those who love him." Sergeant Vernon King was buried at Liston to Hoke Military Cemetery. He was just 20 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Sergeant Vernon Gordon King, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening.